I know what you're thinking. It's only been 3 weeks since WrestleMania, but here we are previewing another PLE. Backlash is this weekend, but Andy, there's so much more in the world of WWE to talk about, and we're going to be here to cover it for you. This is Squared Circle Radio live on our YouTube channel or podcast if you're listening that way. The Young Buck Andy York is with me. My name is Chris Belcher, and Andy, you blink and you're going to miss something. Here we are, another big PLE with 5 big matches.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a big deal. A lot of stuff is going on, both inside the ring and outside the ring to dive into and to talk about. Um, it's uh it's a weird time, I think, in WWE. We haven't been in these waters in a long time, I think. So it's going to be a lot of fun to dive in and talk about it. I will say I hate that Backlash is so quick.
Yep.
Like I feel like we have not given WrestleMania any time to really breathe since
I know.
since then. So we're jumping right back in. But yeah, I mean it's always fun to preview a pay per view and jump in and give our predictions and see how wrong we actually are.
Well, then in 3 more weeks, it's Clash in Italy. And
Oh
then
my
3
goodness.
more weeks after that, it's Night of Champions. And then whatever the July event. Oh, there's a Saturday night's main event in July. And then SummerSlam is the first weekend in August. So
When's
before
Money
we
in the Bank?
September this year, it's like the first weekend in September. So,
That's
yes, I don't know. Here we go. Let's get into it again. So much to talk about. We got more releases to talk about. Cody Rhodes has a new challenger that we need to talk about. We are going to get to Brock Lesnar tonight. It's going to happen. We were going to do it last week. We were going to do it the week before. We're getting to Brock Lesnar tonight, but we're starting, Andy, previewing WWE Backlash coming up this Saturday. Stay locked into social media, post show TBD, maybe we'll see. Stay locked into social media. But Andy, let's start with the main event. Roman Reigns in his first defense as World Heavyweight Champion taking on his cousin, Jacob Fatu. And we saw how Monday Night Raw ended. The contract signings and these things never go off without a hitch. Of course, it ended the same way that Monday Night Raw ended last week, and that was with a Tongan death grip by Jacob Fatu onto Roman Reigns, put him through a table, maybe with a little assist from Adam Pearce there. Before I ask you about just the match in general, I applaud WWE. I don't know how you feel about this. I applaud WWE for their attempt at splitting rosters in a draft. I really do, because the idea is there. It makes so much sense, Andy, but they just can't follow through with it to save their life. I will say that I have enjoyed this feud being spread across Raw and SmackDown over the last 3 weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really weird, and excuse my voice crack and my voice. Listen, it's it's the South and it's spring and it's horrible. So I am
It
dealing
is.
with a cold that my 8-month-old baby gave me. But we
Blame it on
yeah,
the
it's
kid. That's a great
always.
dad right there. That's a dad move right there.
But it's always like I love the idea of a brand, and I love the idea of splitting them into 2 different brands and
Yep.
doing the draft and everything like that. I love that idea. Um, it's hard when it's the same brand. It's 2 brands within the same company. So like it's not like AEW and WWE, but it's WWE with these 2, technically 3 brands, kind of 4 if you count AAA at this point. Um, of just kind of jumping across. So I get not doing a straight up brand split. I think they normally do this after Mania of like kind of jumble it up, and then after Backlash or going into the summer, they kind of hard reset and put people on different rosters and stuff.
Yep.
So it kind of I've gotten used to it at this point. It used to really bug me that like we did what they used to call the superstar shakeup
Yes.
and like all this other stupid stuff. It is what it is now. I think people have just kind of gotten used to it. But I have enjoyed that. Like this is going across 2 shows. Obviously, Roman's only going to show up to Raw. He's not going to show up to Raw and SmackDown. So Jacob and the Usos have taken the reins on that. No pun intended. And so I think it's fun right now, but I don't see it really lasting much longer after Backlash.
I don't know. I think depends on what the finish ends up being at Backlash and how this thing turns out. I mean, I don't know exactly how what's next in this feud. I think that's the biggest question in this feud because, Andy, this is a fantasy matchup between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. It's a matchup that we have been clamoring for ever since Jacob Fatu got to the WWE, even before Jacob Fatu got to the WWE. Honestly, Andy, when the bloodline was running strong, it was like, oh man, the Usos have a younger brother. His name's Solo Sikoa, and he's in NXT and he's really good. And then you've got this Hikuleo guy who's related. But when Jacob Fatu shows up, and here we are, Andy, and it's Backlash, it's this dream matchup. Just don't see how it's a one and done at this point. There's too much importance that is put on this family feud between Roman, Jacob, Usos, Solos, MFTs, yada, yada, yada. But Andy, there's also been so much importance put on this Tongan death grip. Alex was in the chat last week and was asking about it because last week was the first time that we saw it on Monday Night Raw. And then Jacob brought it back out on Friday Night SmackDown. And then Andy, I just loved how the Usos in their promo just spoke to the importance of the Tongan death grip, and Roman Reigns again tonight in the contract signing talking about it as well. So we mentioned it last week because it was so new and we were reacting to Raw, this new wrinkle in Jacob Fatu's game using the Tongan death grip. And now it's like, oh man, it just makes Jacob that much more vicious and that much more dangerous that you don't exactly know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think they've done a really good job over the last couple of weeks of building Jacob up to the point where Raw is going off the air. The OTC's been beaten up, and they're not chanting Roman Reigns. They're not chanting OTC. They're chanting Fatu. Like the crowd is behind what they're doing with Jacob. Finally making him and letting him be this killer werewolf Samoan character that he is.
Yep.
And so that part of it I really, really like. My only concern is Roman just won the title. So there is a 0.000% chance he loses the title. I would have loved if they would have waited to give this move to Jacob if he was going to win the title in their second or third match. Because now it kind of seems like we're giving Jacob this awesome move, that Roman just probably just going to get out of and win anyways.
Yeah, we saw him get out of it twice tonight. During the contract signing, during the beatdown, we saw Roman get out of it twice tonight. But then ultimately, of course, Jacob put it on him, put him through the table, yada, yada, yada. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous about it, but I think they're building to something down the line with it. I hope that it doesn't do damage to Jacob's character, because they've done such a good job with it. We've seen the ups and downs of Solo after this. I think Jacob's in a much better spot because of his persona and his characteristics and being able to make that connection with the crowd. So I'm hoping that this is not going to do damage, but also at the same time, like, you want to make sure that you're building Roman as champion, because who knows how long he's going to be champion. I said after Mania, I don't think he's going to have a real lengthy run. I could see him dropping the title around SummerSlam, maybe just past SummerSlam. So I don't see him holding it for a very long time, but you also got to build him up in a way. And so you just got to be very, very careful about how you handle it. I think the match is going to be awesome. The finish is what makes me a little nervous.
Yes. The finish and what we do after is key, much like we talked about with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which we're not going to get into, but it's what happens after is what's key to this, because again, this has been such a dream match for fans, not just Roman fans and Jacob fans, but wrestling fans in general. Andy, I remember you and I were in the building, Royal Rumble last year, when Roman and Jacob came face to face for the first time, and you just felt it. You knew when this match finally happened, it was going to be big. But again, it's like, man, it's the first title defense after Roman wins. Like, there has to be more. And Andy, you said it. You think Jacob is in a much better spot than Solo was because Solo didn't fare so well. I put him on the same plane as Jey Uso in these wars that Roman had with Jey Uso and how much better off that Jey Uso was after this. But again, Jacob Fatu's got more skills than Jey Uso, one could argue, So again, it's about building Roman up, like you said. It's about building Jacob up. And I think if done right, both can benefit from this. And we hope that's what happens here. Let's get to, this is our preview and our prediction show. We're going to predict maybe what we think would happen, what would happen if we were booking this thing. Andy, a lot of people, like you said, very small chance that Roman Reigns loses the championship in this match. A lot has been made over the last couple of days because a graphic was changed about Roman's appearances in the month of June. And he's had a falling out with TKO because of this, that, and the other. And maybe he's leaving and maybe he's dropping the blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, whatever. Yeah, that's what City Kitty right there says. They've taken Roman through June. So according to Mike Johnston from PW Insider, which is one of the most reputable sites. I'm not going to call it a dirt sheet because he's not a dirt sheet. He's one of the most reputable news sites out there. According to him, it was a clerical error.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle of a clerical error and Roman Reigns being upset with TKO. Whatever it may be, it is what it is at this point. I don't think any of that affects the finish of this match. What do you think?
No, I don't think it does either. I don't think it affects the finish. I mean, it might affect long term what's going on. Maybe Roman's not champion going into SummerSlam. Maybe it's something completely different. I think the timing of the things that have happened over the last week and a half, again, are very telling of the direction that TKO and WWE are going in. Not necessarily WWE. The direction TKO is going in, dragging WWE with it and the UFC with it. So the clerical issue stuff, like I believe that's probably partly true. Or they're blaming the clerical issue because, like you said, maybe Roman is like, hey, don't want to do this. There's also been the report that they asked one of their top paid high superstars to take a 50% pay cut, and they did it. So you can take your guess as who that probably was. I have my top guess who I probably think it was because it's the most screwed over man in WWE, even though he's a champion.
Yeah. No, not that one. Okay.
Oh, not that one. No, not that one.
Okay.
But it's weird how involved they are right now. They don't need to be involved. Like they are again, perception is everything, and they are actively shooting themselves in the foot. And then they're like, oh, John Cena's coming out to make a big prediction. We could probably all guess what the big prediction or the big announcement might be. So it's just it's a weird time. It's a really weird time.
It's a very weird time. But Andy, if I had to make a pick as to who is coming out of this thing, who is coming out with a championship, man, it's Roman Reigns. Like, I know that it seems easy to make that pick. I know that it seems easy to just say, hey, Roman just won the title. Roman is not going to drop it. But Andy, it just makes sense for this story to continue. If we're building up Roman and Jacob, he has to win this match, right? Like, you have to have Roman retain. I don't think it's a screwy finish. I don't think it's like Jacob has the tongue and death grip and Roman taps out so the referee doesn't see it like Gunther did. And I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's a couple spears, 1, 2, 3. I don't know how the Usos get involved. Man, again, I think this thing is hard to predict. So I think we're sort of spinning our wheels if we're trying to predict this. If you were booking this, what would be your best idea as far as either are we continuing this? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's a that's a that's a
Right?
hard thing to get put into a corner to try to book out of.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the worst thing they can do is a no finish.
Yes.
Whether
Correct.
it's a disqualification, whether it's a count out, whether it's, oh, Jacob's so incensed and he's so desperate and crazy that he didn't hear the 5 count and he was in the corner and they can't do that. Like that can, if somebody brings that up, they need to be fired immediately and bring somebody else in, because that just cannot happen.
Right.
If I was to book this match to try to get through it, I would probably have the Usos get involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Roman Reigns match, and we didn't have it at WrestleMania, so we got to bring it back. We got to have a ref bump. The ref goes down. Maybe the Usos come out. They don't want to get involved. Jacob shoves one of them, gets in their face. Jimmy super kicks him. Spear, 1, 2, 3. Roman retains, but we're able to push this thing down another month or the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Maybe even, not even do it at the next pay-per-view, maybe save it for another, like the pay-per-view after. But at the next show, do the Usos versus Jacob and somebody. I don't know who, but somebody. And that would be, I think there are a lot of interesting ways we can take this. I don't know if the long run is to get the title on Jacob.
Right.
But I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't end up being the long run. Of like, maybe not even this year, but like within the next year or so, this is the start of putting the title on Jacob at some point.
I'm going to throw another wrinkle into this. Actually, I'm not going to throw the wrinkle into this. WWE did it for me. The beginning of the show tonight, as you see on your YouTube screen, Andy, just when we think they forgot about it, just when we think that WWE has put the one match that we all need to see, they've put it out of their mind. They've just cast away. It's never going to happen. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins go face to face to start Monday Night Raw tonight, Andy. So before we talk about Seth's match at Backlash and how this face to face could impact that match, Andy, you have to think this was not done for nothing. I'm not saying it's coming up at Clash in Italy or Night of Champions or SummerSlam or whatever. I'm not putting a date on it. But Andy, this just makes me think, you just said it. Maybe the long-term plan is for Jacob to be champion, but maybe it's not this year. And that face-to-face with Seth Rollins tells me that it's not, I don't think Jacob's taking the title off of Roman in this feud.
Yeah, and I probably agree with that. I think, after the Raw, after Mania and everything else, that could be the other main event of WrestleMania this year is Roman and Seth finally making that. Boy, it would be something if the first WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia had CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes night 1 or night 2, and the other night had Roman and Seth for, a majority of their fans to not even be at. I could see it. I could see that absolutely happening.
You talk about an incredible set of main events that we looked at this year, before the McAfee stuff happened. It's like, okay, you got Roman and Punk on one side and you got Cody and Randy on the other side. What in the world could top it? Well, throw Seth Rollins in there and, maybe that'll top it. So, Andy, again, they give us this nugget. So I think we're headed there at some point. I just don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. And it may be one of those that it's not even for the title when they wrestle. Like it could just be a straight up one-on-one match between Roman and Seth at some point.
Andy, I don't know about you, but when that face-to-face happened to start Raw, like I just got giddy all over again. I'm like, just give me this. I don't really care about anything else. I just want this again. Please just do this right.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's something that we've been wanting to see for a while. It's ridiculous. I'm not counting the tag match. It's ridiculous, or the triple threat, is that we haven't got a one-on-one between Roman and Seth
since Royal Rumble. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about at Mania. But I'm talking about at Mania. Like, this is like Triple H, Shawn Michaels never facing each other at WrestleMania.
I know.
Like, why has this never happened? Why has that never happened?
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's talk about Seth's match coming up at Backlash, taking on Braun Breaker. Now, again, before we predict this thing, Andy, last week there was a promo between Braun and Seth, and tonight on Monday Night Raw, I really enjoyed how they built this throughout the whole show. I thought it was really cool to bring this thing back a couple of times, but I specifically want to ask you about this promo from last week because we really didn't have a chance to talk about it in everything that we had to get to last week. Andy, I thought their promo last week, talking about the Steiner math and talking about how you're the third best Steiner in your family and this, that, and the other, whatever. I thought it was really, really good, but so many people on social media and on Busted Open took this thing to task and was like, this was horrible. And it was just wrestler speak 101. It didn't do anything for me. Andy, what do you think? Like, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I think for the history these two guys have together, I think we could have done more. But I think for what it was. I think Braun had the best line when he said, "You are the best in the world at being number 2." Like everything you've done, you're the best in the world at being the second place guy.
Sure.
And so I think that is such like a great line to throw at Seth. It was fine. Like it wasn't the greatest promo battle between the two of them. It wasn't the greatest promo battle ever. But I think it did its job to move the story along, to get to where we got this week.
Which was them two just going at it all night long. Street Profits and the Vision getting involved, this, that, and the other. But ultimately, Braun hit a bunch of spears on Seth. Seth never hit a stomp on Braun. And we find out tonight that the first hour of Backlash is going to be on ESPN2, and this match is going to be part of it. So, I mean, I think that's a great spot to put this match in. The next match that we're going to talk about, I think, should be in that hour as well, but that we'll save that for a second. This is going to be interesting. I don't know that the interaction with Roman changes my prediction for this specific match, but I don't know, Andy. This was my same concern with Gunther at WrestleMania and with Rollins, is that is he just going to be the best second place guy and is just not going to be that spotlight guy?
Probably right now, I would say yes. Like, I think he's in the era right now where he's in the business of putting people over. I think he'll get his moment again to get back to the top, to be a top guy, to be a world champion again. But I think right now it's, putting Gunther over to go to the next phase that he's going into, and then putting Braun over to enter into the next phase that he's going into. And so I think Seth's the perfect guy for that. But he's also a guy that can bounce back from it probably better than anyone.
That's very true. Yep, that's very true. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, nobody bounces back better than Seth Rollins as long as he stays healthy. So yes, I do anticipate this one being really, really good. If you're live with us in the chat, thank you so much for doing that. Please make sure that you drop those comments and questions, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the things. City Kitty has been ready, not just right now, but she's been ready for the Vision to be in the rear view. I think she feels the same way about Judgment Day too.
I was going to say, if Judgment Day is anything, Vision's going to be around for a minute.
It is. It just, we're definitely in like Vision 3.0 at this point. Yeah. I'm with her too, but it just seems like, with the Street Profits getting inserted and this, that, and the other, we got to wait till Bronson Reed comes back. We don't know when that's going to be. So it's certainly going to continue for a little while. But we will have to see. Let's talk about, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this match because I honestly think this one is long overdue. I think we should have had this match 2 months ago. And that is Asuka and Io Sky finally going one-on-one, getting a spot at a PLE, not on a Monday Night Raw. Again, Andy, this should have happened 2 months ago. They have tremendously dropped the ball on getting us this match, I think.
This should have happened at Mania.
Yeah.
See, like, there's no reason why this shouldn't have happened at WrestleMania. Especially the circumstances that we know now about everything that has played out. But I'm very excited for this. I think this could be the match of the night. Like if they give them
I was
plenty
gonna
of
say that.
enough
Yep.
time, this
Yep.
could be the match of the night. Because I think people talk about Io being one of the greatest women's wrestlers alive today. Asuka, you got to remember Asuka's right up there with her. Like
Yep.
Asuka's one of the greatest to ever do it, male or female. And so I think this match is going to be perfect for it. I think you're right. Put this on the first hour. Let the world see this because it's going to be something special.
Yep, completely agree. City Kitty live with us in the chat. EO is ready for Asuka. It's going to be a barn burner. I'm telling you, you said it. You took the words right out of my mouth. If they give them time, this will be the match of the night, and there won't be anything close.
Yeah.
I hope I eat my words and something else really just shocks us and is match of the night. I just don't think it's going to happen. But this one right here is one that we've been waiting for. Again, if they give us time. Andy, we have to look back at when releases happened last year, particularly an R-Truth release, and then there was a tag match that happened, and R-Truth popped back up. There were releases last week, and we're going to talk about a couple of them here in a minute. So, Andy, what are the chances that we get Kyrie back to somehow wrap this feud up, even if it's just a one-off, or maybe she's back full time? I don't know. But what are the chances that Kyrie comes back for this match?
I think there's a good chance she does, but if it's a one-off, get ready. I think people are not going to love it if it's a one-off.
Right.
But this would be 3 years in a row where fan backlash has changed something or brought somebody back. Because 3 years ago it was Cody, last year it was Truth, this year it would be Kyrie. And she, even if it is a one-off, she deserves to have her spot in this story because she has been, in a lot of ways, she's been the centerpiece of this story.
Yes.
And so for her not to be in it is just an absolute crime. It's an absolute shame.
Yeah, it really is. I'm anxious to watch this one unfold. You know what else I'm anxious for, Andy? To see what happens and to see who fills the void of the mystery partner for Danhausen as he takes on The Miz and Kit Wilson at Backlash. Man, I know we talk about Danhausen a lot on this show. We talked about him at length last week on a clip from our show that did very well on our channel. If you check that out, thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but we talk about Danhausen a whole lot, and he's come a long way since the debut that was the Elimination Chamber. Obviously, again, just give him 2 minutes of TV time, and he's won everybody over, and he was third place in merch sales inside Allegiant Stadium for WrestleMania, and he wasn't even wrestling, and he's everywhere. But Andy, he's getting a PLE match 2 months into the company when he was supposedly just written off and everybody just said it was the biggest mistake WWE's ever made. Yet here he is, and The Miz is right there with him. Imagine that, Andy.
Yeah, you got to put a joke wrestler with a joke character. It works every single time.
I think it's to help somebody get over, and The Miz knows how to put people over.
Yeah, he does. It's because it's so easy to hate The Miz. It's part of that. I will say, I think it's like almost a lock as to who the mystery tag partner is.
Okay, who is it?
It has to be Jelly Roll.
Okay, all right.
Because he has the history with Miz and Kit Wilson already.
Okay.
And I think Danhausen and Jelly Roll had some backstage interaction, and they want to have a celebrity appearance on this show because it wouldn't be TKO without it. So I really think I would be shocked if it's anybody else other than the only other person I could see it being is Joe Hendry. Just because I could see Danhausen got nobody to come out there to help him. He's getting beat up, and all of a sudden you just hear him start yelling, Joe Hendry, Joe Hendry. And then out of nowhere, Joe Hendry appears and is on his team.
I think Joe Hendry is probably more likely than Jelly Roll. That was kind of where I was leaning. I also thought, this is random, pull it out of a hat, Cody Rhodes. He's not on the show. I think yes, it's a little tricky. It's a little dicey, but I think, why not? You put Danhausen in with the world champion. I mean, again, he's not on the show, so I just wonder how they get him on there. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll be interested to see. I think it's a cool spot for Danhausen. If it lasts more than 15 minutes, it's gone way too long. Just let's get in, let's get out, and let's have fun with it. Speaking of having fun, Andy, I mentioned this clip that we clipped from our show last week. If you checked out our show last week, thank you so much for doing that. Andy and I had a good 15-minute discussion about the letter E in WWE, and it stands for entertainment. And I am going to be careful what I say tonight because I'm going to try not to eat my words. But I know for a fact that I said that if something is not entertaining to you, do not watch it. Don't complain about it. Don't spread all this negativity. Just don't watch it. Andy, there was something that occurred on Friday Night SmackDown this week that I just wish that I hadn't seen. It may be the worst thing on WWE television that I've ever seen in my life. And that is this stupid gingerbread nonsense that is happening with Trick Williams and Sami Zayn. Andy, to the point where he beats up a puppet, and Trick Williams is so sad that we're having a funeral for a gingerbread man. Andy, Joe Tessitore was crying on commentary because he's so sad because of this stupid lawn puppet that got beat up and is now dead. Andy, not only is it stupid, but in my opinion, again, this is my podcast and I will give my opinion. This takes away the credibility of Trick Williams immediately. You are messing with the hottest act in WWE right now, aside from Obafemi, is on a rocket ship straight to the moon. You pushed him to the United States Championship, and now you've got him coming out of a trainer's room crying and upset because his buddy Gingy is dead and Sami Zayn is going to pay because he killed a puppet. Andy, it's stupid. It's stupid.
So I completely disagree. I love it. I love it. Listen, to say it's the worst thing WWE Entertainment has ever done, we've forgotten about Roman and the dog food. Like, that was abysmal because that's a top guy that you're dumping dog food on and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
This is right up there with a lot of the independent wrestling stuff that we see that a lot of people love. Of the goofy, the crazy, and I get it, it's the United States champion. But I think that's part of what the appeal for Trick is. Like, everything I have seen online from from all that happened Friday night is people loved it. Like, people loved the just how funny Trick was in that segment and how funny he was coming out of the trainer's room. And the trainer came out and he put his hand on him to stop him from talking. Like, I loved it. I thought it was done the right way. I thought they've done everything great with it. Him low blowing the gingerbread man, and you could clearly tell that it was a doll. Sent me over the moon. Trick throwing up the X to the referee over in the corner. That's the entertainment side. I think is hilarious.
How anybody kept a straight face in this
I don't know how.
segment, I don't know how they did it.
But Trick, that's what I'm saying. Trick is a professional for doing it that way. He did his job. He did his part great. I think I don't think it's a problem because it's been a 2-week thing or a 3-week thing that is not going to stick around anymore. Like after
Yes, it is.
Backlash,
No,
it's
I
done.
guarantee you at this funeral, when this funeral happens, that gingerbread is popping out of the casket and little Yachty's going to be dressed as him or Trick's going to be dressed something.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to continue this thing. Like
Not the
it's
gingerbread
not,
man part. I think little Yachty being with Trick is going to continue, but I
no,
think he'll pop up.
Listen,
I think it's fine.
if as many people love this as you say, and TKO and WWE is on this entertainment kick, I guarantee you this continues, and it's stupid. This is gobbledygooker-esque. Like it's just absolutely.
It's not been built up like the gobbledygooker was, though.
This isn't. No, it's insane, Andy. The fact that Joe Tessitore cried on commentary so that he could not speak. Even Michael Cole, talking about the Miz and zombies, poked fun at himself at how stupid it was. And Joe Tess is trying to sell this as a serious angle. Like the medics are coming in to check on a stupid lawn puppet. Andy, just think about this. Imagine that you are trying to get somebody into wrestling and you're trying to talk to them about the athleticism and the storytelling. And Rob Parker is the guy that was, talking about wrestling recently and how bad it is and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Imagine trying to debate that guy about wrestling. All he has to say is, what about gingerbread nonsense? You have no leg to stand on with
you do, because then you find out what about he's a rap guy. What about Little Dicky in the rap world? Like there's stuff that you can point at and pick to that are mockeries, that are jokes, that are not supposed to be taken seriously. Like this is not supposed to be a thing that is taken seriously, but is obviously gotten over with the people and obviously gotten over with the fans. And again, it's one of those that if you're not a wrestling fan, you might not get it, and that's fine. Like that's totally fine if you don't get it. Because while you say, yeah, there's some crazy stuff, you can come over here and you can look at Mankind versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. You can look at, X, Y, and Z and see, yeah, this is like real stuff happening. Well, also you got stuff on the side that's, a joke. I would show them Sandman versus the Invisible Man. It's a 5-star classic in my opinion. Like it's just it's a fun side of wrestling that I think it has to be done the right way. It cannot be overdone. But in my eyes, this is a lot like Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville, where the build-up to everything was not great, but what we got was fun. And I think the journey we've taken with this whole thing has been fun. I think it's been fun.
City Kitty is going to agree to disagree with me. She likes the gingerbread bit. Listen, I'm not going to back down from this. All I'm going to say is we're going to agree to disagree here because it makes me so upset, Andy, the fact that all of this is leading to another match between Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. Why we can't just move on from this feud that was clearly Sami just taking Carmelo Hayes' spot, who hasn't even been on TV, by the way, taking his spot and turning him heel. Oh, fans, I didn't do anything wrong. Why do you hate me? Can we just move on? I think that is another reason that I'm so annoyed by this gingerbread man thing, is because this is like the feud that just will not end. And it's driving me up a wall. All we can talk about is the potential of Trick Williams and how good he is and this, that, and the other. And he's saddled with this. I hate it. I can't stand it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of really bad stuff saddled with great people that just has to get over, has to figure it out. I think they've done a great job with it, though. I don't think it's done damage to Trick. I think it's just made him more appealing to a lot of different people that beforehand he wouldn't do. And I think Sami does that role well, of being the whiny heel that, tries to get his way, does all this other stuff, thinks he's the good guy, but really isn't. I think he does a great job of it. And I think, just this whole story kind of encompasses that.
Can we just move on?
I need WrestleMania next year to be a no-holds-barred, unsanctioned match between Sami Zayn and the Gingerbread Man. A year-long build where that happens.
And then the Gingerbread Man unmasks and it's Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, Absolutely. Why not? Absolutely. Why not?
Even that won't
Are you
redeem
kidding me?
this. That will not redeem this. This is
No, that'd
ridiculous.
make it 10 times better.
It's no wonder I can't stand Sami Zayn. All right. Backlash.
No, I've noticed, and I understand how you feel about Sami Zayn. Tonight, I realize is how I feel about Liv Morgan. I
Okay.
cannot stand Liv Morgan. I think she might be one of the most overrated women in the division right now. I think she's popular and I think she's great, like for what she does and for her spot. But I realized tonight when she was backstage with that whole promo with Bailey and Lyra and she was talking and everything, I'm like, I literally want to ram my head through a wall when you talk. So don't like it.
Okay, let's put a pin in that discussion. We'll have that discussion another time. That's interesting. Okay. Backlash is this weekend. TBD on a post show. It should be a good show. It should be a good show. 5 really, really, really solid matches. We mentioned Cody Rhodes a few minutes ago. He is not on the card. He was involved on Friday Night SmackDown. The debut of Ricky Saints, who we predicted last week that would confront Trick Williams, did not. Instead, he confronted his buddy Cody Rhodes, got himself a match with Cody, who we found out is cleared. We'll talk about Ricky in just a second because Andy, the real story in this match is what happened afterwards. The career killer has jumped ship to SmackDown and has attacked the WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Listen, I'm so here for this. Like, it's not even funny how here for this that I am. Bully Ray laid this out on Busted Open today, and I could not agree more. I can't take credit for this. He's the one that said it. Gunther needs to choke out Cody Rhodes every single week from now until when they wrestle. And then when they actually wrestle, choke him out again and win the championship. Just, you need to stack everything up against Cody. You can bring in John Cena, you can bring in AJ Styles and be like, hey, listen, I know you're good, Cody, but that guy killed our career. And then Cody walks in and boom, lights out. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. My initial reaction was, this is how we get Brock back. This is going to lead to, which I know we're going to talk about Brock here in a minute, but if we're going to get Brock back at SummerSlam, Gunther wins the world title. Maybe he goes after Paul for a little bit. Maybe Paul's on SmackDown, whatever. And Gunther's just like, hey, he wants another world title or his career's on the line. Like, I think we could work something like that going into SummerSlam. I completely agree, though. Like, I don't think maybe the go-home show, whenever this match is actually going to happen, Cody gets a little offense in, but then Gunther just slaps that choke on, and Cody passes out. Cody, whatever. And then at the match itself, just an absolute dominant performance from Gunther. You talk about an old school match. This is going to be as old school as it gets, and it's going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be your Bret Hart, your Ric Flair, your Sting even version of what professional wrestling looked like and what it can look like still, and it's going to be gorgeous. Like, it might not be match of the year because I think Punk Roman's going to be really hard to beat.
Yes.
But if anything can beat it or get close to it, it's going to be Gunther versus Cody.
Play your cards right, and this is Sting versus Big Van Vader all over again.
Oh, yeah.
Like, exactly what this is. And I'm so here for it. Like, this has Clash in Italy written all over it.
Yes.
Right here. And you just have Gunther beat Cody for the championship. And maybe Brock does come back for a title in his career, whatever. Now, I don't remember which backstage segment it was, but Paul Heyman was seen in the back talking to Nick Aldis on Friday Night SmackDown. So maybe this is the favor that Gunther comes in and he wants world championship shot, blah, 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 whatever. I just hope I don't know. Like, we have tremendously fumbled Gunther since he beat John Cena. Yep. And aside from, let's call it AJ Styles. Since he beat AJ Styles, we have tremendously fumbled Gunther. So, as much of a Cody Rhodes fan as I am, I do not want to see Cody beat him in like a schmoz and then we get a rematch, whatever.
Nope.
No. Let Gunther beat him for the championship. You can let Cody chase him, have a rematch, and Gunther beat him again. I don't know what's next for Cody after that, but this is the answer right here. Gunther being champion and taking the title from Cody is the answer.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think we need to see Cody Rhodes for a year without the title.
That's weird, though, man. That's so weird.
Yeah, but it's been 3 years of him being in the title picture or being champion for like 90% of the year. I mean, let's be real honest. The only time I can really remember him not fighting for the title was when Drew kind of won it back, and then he went to, I don't even remember who he went to a little mini feud with going into.
It was Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. That's who it was.
Jacob.
And so, but even then, it was still kind of for the title or kind of for a spot for the title. So I think we need to see Cody wrestle. The only one I remember, like the last big one I remember him wrestling, not for a title, was his feud with Brock right after WrestleMania 39.
That was the only one, yeah.
So we need to see Cody without the world title. Maybe we've been talking about it for a while. Maybe this is the beginning of the downfall of Cody. Of heel Cody starts to show up more. I think, if you want to really get Cody over at some point, a heel faction with him and with Ricky Saints, and maybe even call, Ethan Page over and some of these other guys who they have he has a history with. I think there's a lot we can do with Cody outside of the world title, but we need to explore it without the title, and Gunther is the perfect replacement of a champion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know if you keep him out of the title picture for a year because, again, he's QB1 for a reason. You got to have him kind of hanging around there. But at the same time, what's better than stacking adversity on top of Cody Rhodes and having him, fight from underneath it? Maybe he goes in a different direction and he recruits Ricky Saints and maybe they get a big heater like a Royce Keys or somebody in there with them, something like that. I don't know. But it's definitely a good twist, a good, interesting twist for Cody Rhodes that is needed. Again, not saying that it has to be this, Cody is without the title for a long time. I don't want to see he and Gunther trade the title back and forth.
Yeah.
But this was a welcome surprise on SmackDown this week. Let me tell you what else was a welcome surprise on SmackDown this week. Andy, in no other world than 2026 Triple H booking would an NXT star in her second week on the roster pin Charlotte Flair's shoulders to the mat.
Yep.
I mean, my goodness, if this company doesn't have faith in JC Jane and Fatal Influence, I don't know what, man. Like Charlotte Flair getting pinned, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, we saw tonight Penta getting pinned by Ethan Page, which is a big deal. But you want to make it even bigger deal. Her pinning Charlotte really just shows how important JC is going to be to the main roster.
Yep.
To the point where world champion kind of maybe within the year, maybe she's on the Page trajectory of winning the world title really quickly and establishing herself. Especially with the heel faction coming in and everything, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for her. We've seen from NXT, she's able to get the job done. She's able to carry the brand. She's able to carry the division. So I'm excited to see what they do with her within the next coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I am too, for sure. It'll be really interesting. But again, Charlotte getting pinned is awesome. Charlotte getting pinned by someone in their second week on the show is just incredible. So kudos to Charlotte for putting over JC. Kudos to Triple H and the company for having faith in JC to be able to do that. And I'm definitely anxious to see what comes next. Andy, we talked about releases last week. We had 23 releases in the company last week, but this weekend there were 4 more and none bigger. You said last week that the biggest release was probably Kairi Sane. which I pretty much agree with. I think Aleister Black is right up there as well, but none bigger on those 23 releases than Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day. Now, I am going to caveat this by saying that the New Day were not released in the same way that everybody else was. According to all reports from all dirt sheets and insiders, this, that, and the other, the New Day, as you alluded to earlier, were asked to take a pay cut. They refused, and their contracts were mutually agreed to disintegrate, to rip up, and to go their separate ways. Andy, as much crap as I have talked about the New Day, and as much crap as the late, great Jared Justice has talked about the New Day over the years, I can't imagine a WWE without Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
Yeah, so when I woke up and saw that this had happened, two thoughts went through my mind. One was, wow, this is getting bad. And two was, I cannot wait for the New Day versus the Young Bucks, because that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, because obviously, at least I think Austin Creed more than likely is going to jump ship to AEW, because him and Kenny have a great relationship. He knows a lot of the guys over there. I think he would fit in really well. But again, I think this is an indictment and a picture of the much larger issue at hand. And that is that TKO is cutting costs wherever they can.
Yep.
And you literally could not make it work. And you may not agree with this statement. If you don't, that's totally fine. You've been wrong before.
Thanks.
They literally cannot make it work for the greatest tag team in WWE history. Like the greatest tag team to ever walk through those doors. The most entertaining, probably the biggest merch selling tag team of all time. Greatest matches in tag team wrestling in WWE. They have a plethora of them. And in a world where the tag division meant nothing, between them and the Usos, they kept the tag division relevant.
Yep.
And anytime you needed to make the tag titles feel relevant, you know who you put them on? You put them on the New Day.
Yep. That's right.
And even to the point where, like, yeah, but like, even like that seems like so many, and it is a lot, but like they all were entertaining. They all were fun. They all had their moments. And even like when they turned heel, they did absolutely nothing with it.
Right.
I mean, absolutely nothing with it. It's like they did that for the moment, and then they went, okay, don't know what to do now. So have fun, like figure it out, I guess. It's crazy to me that maybe one of the most, if not the most beloved superstars in wrestling history, and Kofi Kingston. And, you know, think back to Kofi Mania and how much that meant, not just for the generation, but like for everybody involved. You were in the building for it.
Yep.
And everything that came with it. To, you know, everybody pushed for Xavier Woods to win King of the Ring when he was probably the last guy on that tournament that they wanted to win King of the Ring, and the fans kind of pushed that ahead. You know, it's just it's crazy to me that you cannot make this work for the New Day, even if it was a Legends deal of like, hey, you know what, you don't want to take the pay cut, that's fine. Maybe we can work something out for everything or for what's happening. But I give credit to them. Like, they know their worth. They know they can make a ton of money on the independent scene and in AEW, wherever they land. Took a bet on themselves because they're one of the few people that WWE was not the brand for them. The New Day was the brand for them. And I think they can take that and they can run with it. And I'm excited to see what they can do.
I'm only slightly going to push back because I don't think they're the greatest tag team of all time, but I think they're way up there, like top 3 for sure. Just all those awesome matches that they had. I think the other tag team is the best ever, but that's beside the point.
Their singles match drops them down.
Well, okay. Touche. But having said that, I can't imagine a WWE without Kofi
Yep.
and without Xavier. I assume
Yep.
Big E is hanging around for the commentary team and the kickoff team and this, that, and the other. It'll be really weird to see that. But I think they might go to TNA over AEW. And I know they have relationship with the AEW guys. And I know, the AEW is going to pay them more money. And I get all that. But I just feel like TNA would fit them a little better from, be careful how I say this, from a culture standpoint and from a comfortability standpoint, maybe. Because, and the reason I say that, and that's not I'm not taking shots at AEW. What I'm saying is that AEW is so much, they're just different than WWE. And my concern is once you get past the Young Bucks match, or once you get past the FTR match, the New Day are such characters that AEW has a hard time pushing characters. And I'm not saying that Kofi and Xavier can't wrestle, because I know they can. I just think they have a hard time with characters a lot of times. And there are examples of characters, that stand out, the MJFs and the Orange Cassidys and the Hangmans and the Bucks and, the Jerichos and the whatever. They stand out, obviously. We've seen so many prominent WWE stars that have gone over and gotten lost in the shuffle. And I don't know. I just feel like they would fit better in the world of TNA than in AEW. But who knows? We got to wait 90 days to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like WWE and TNA have too much of a relationship that they may not want to cross that bridge. I think they fit the AEW style better than people realize. Because people don't realize, because he never really got to do it much, how just good of a wrestler Austin Creed Xavier Woods actually is.
Yep.
Kofi can still hang with the best. Plus, I mean, if you think about it, the Bucks match, FTR is right there as well. New Day versus Edge and Christian, like that would be absolutely amazing to see that. Plus, a lot of the young and upcoming guys that they've got in the tag division in AEW. Plus, like I think there's a world where there's singles runs for both of them. Like they're able to kind of do their own thing, and there may be a world where, maybe they don't go to the same brand. Maybe they don't go to the same company. Maybe they go separate for a little while and then, come back together or whatever the case is. All I know is no matter where they go, they are going to succeed, and they're going to prove that they are who they are. And I think that's the biggest part of all of it.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about the other two releases over the weekend. Tongaloa and JC Mateo, aka Jeff Cobb. Talk about somebody who is tailor-made for AEW. If Tony Khan does not pick up Jeff Cobb and get him on that roster, I don't know what he's doing. Tongaloa, I know he made a name for himself over in Japan with his brother and, the Bullet Club and this, that, and the other. I mean, kudos to the guy for hanging around as long as he has. But as Bully Ray said on Busted Open today, he said, I trained him, but he's made too many glaring mistakes that probably just can't be overlooked at this point. And that's probably going to follow him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, it probably is. I think he could probably go into New Japan and just kind of pick up where he left off, and we'll be fine. Jeff Cobb, I think he's almost a lock to AEW, like you said. He was there kind of before. He was part of New Japan, but he worked with AEW. He's one of those guys I cannot believe they did not do more with. Like, they shoehorned him into the MFTs.
Do you feel like, though, it was a square peg in a round hole kind of situation? Like maybe he was just, I don't know, maybe he just didn't fit in there at all to begin with.
I think he fit in the company. I don't think he fit with the MFTs. Okay. Like, I don't think he fit with the bloodline stuff. I think if I hardly say this about some of these guys. If he would have gone to NXT, he would have dominated NXT,
Mm.
become an NXT champion, and then got called up. Not to the levels of an Obafemi or a Trick Williams or guys like that, but he could have been a big deal. Like I think he could have. They could have done
Samoa
something
Joe
really
kind of.
special with him. Yeah, I think Joe should have been more than what he was, but
Yeah,
um, but I think you're right. Like that kind of build, like a Rusev kind of build,
okay.
can be really dominant, can do what you need to do. He's super athletic. I think he's 40, and he is super athletic.
Yep.
And so that one kind of shocked me more than Tongaloa. Out of all the releases, Tongaloa was the one that I was like, get it. I just said that one. But I'm like, now what do the MFTs look like Friday? Like, what is that whole thing going to look like?
Yep. It was definitely pretty slim this past Friday, with clearly pushing Talatonga and, getting him actually in a match with Solo and with the Usos. So we'll see kind of what that looks like. We've already seen the possibilities that Tamatonga is going to split off. I don't know. I think you just split them all and you put Solo with the Usos in some way. And I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to
Kill
see.
the bloodline story and call it a day.
No, well, they're trying, but they're trying. I get maybe 3.0. We'll see. All right. We have to talk about Brock Lesnar because we haven't talked about it since this moment happened at WrestleMania when Brock Lesnar took off his boots and his gloves, announcing his retirement. Now, of course, we talked about it on our WrestleMania Night 2 reaction show, available in the archives. Go check it out. But Andy, we have not been able to sit down and talk about the career of Brock Lesnar because it seems, all intents and purposes, he's done. And I'll say this to start us off. If he is done, I am much more okay with how it ended than if Gunther were to put him out to pasture like he did to everybody else. Like, I know that's the story, and I know that, putting Gunther over in a big way would be huge for him, and Brock is about putting people over, which we'll talk about, but man, just the shock and the awe and the holy crap, what is happening? Brock Lesnar is hanging it up. Man, I think it's the perfect way for him to go out.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, especially putting over somebody like Oba. Like, I think that's, like you talked about, putting people over. Um, I My thing is, it's a shame we never got the Gunther match. Like, even just before all of this, like, that was when you talked about Brock Lesnar dream matches over the last couple of years. Gunther's name was at like the top of that list. But if this is how he goes out, I think it's a great way for him to go out because he is, for better or for worse, maybe the most unpredictable man to ever walk through the doors at WWE.
Yep.
Because you never know if he's going to care, and you never know if he's not going to care. And in his younger days, you never knew if he cared about your safety in the ring or if he didn't care about your safety in the ring. In some ways, I think of Brock Lesnar's career. Again, I'm one of the weird ones where I never got to really witness his first run. Like, my first introduction to Brock Lesnar was the Raw after Mania when he came out to attack Cena. And obviously, I knew him before that when he was in UFC. Like, I knew the name Brock Lesnar, but I never knew he came from professional wrestling first. And his first year back was weird, I think, to say the least, because he had the stuff with Cena, and then he lost to Triple H at WrestleMania, and then it's kind of like he was there, but he wasn't there. But then you kind of hit that Suplex City mode of Brock, and it's a different beast altogether. And it's some of the greatest moments in wrestling history and some of the absolute worst moments in WrestleMania history. In wrestling, in WWE history. If you ask me, like, one of the top moments for Brock that I remember, it's probably the squash match against Cena at SummerSlam when he just dismantled Cena. And this was like peak Super Cena, and you send Brock out there just to absolutely crush him.
Yep.
And he talked about Cena. You've heard Cena talk about before. This is Brock coming off the streak, so
Yep.
like he needs to carry that momentum. Well, what's the way to carry the momentum? Is to absolutely just run through Cena. So there's a lot of great moments like that, but for every moment like that, you get a WrestleMania 34.
Yep.
You get the destruction of Kofi Mania. You get the destruction of Big E. You get the destruction of Ricochet.
Dean
There's
Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose. That probably the most disappointing Brock match I've ever seen. But for every he's yin and yang of for every great thing he has, there's something on the other end that matches it. And I think that's just a testament of who Brock Lesnar is.
And I think he gets that reputation from his first run, because his first run, he was very difficult to deal with at times. He's coming from the amateur wrestling world where he's a college national champion at the University of Minnesota, and he walks into OVW in the greatest class of all time, and he quickly comes up to the main roster of the Raw after WrestleMania in 2002. And then within 4 months, he's beating The Rock and becoming the WWE champion. And Brock likes to be just this private, nobody bother me kind of guy. I like to just keep to myself. And as Paul Heyman and as Brock has disclosed, that first run, the travel was tough. So he got his own bus and he's got his own plane, and then he's getting heat with the boys because of that. So Brock's reputation is solely based off of that run. Now, the Dean Ambrose, the Ricochet, the, whatever, all of those kinds of things that we scratch our heads and we wonder about with Brock, Andy, we truly don't know who's behind the final booking decisions of Brock Lesnar, because we don't really know how much power Brock actually had or how much power Vince allowed him to have. You know what I mean? So between Vince and Brock and Heyman, the truth lies somewhere in the middle of where a final decision was made. Because I don't think, you mentioned him breaking the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. I don't think that's a Brock call. And I don't think that's a Heyman call. I don't think either of those guys went to Vince McMahon and say, you know what, we should beat the Undertaker's streak. I think that was a Vince call. But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's the way it went every time. But Brock gets that reputation because, again, you mentioned for every bad, there's a good. And look how he put over Drew McIntyre. Yes, COVID really screwed that up. But look how he put over Drew McIntyre. Look how he put over Obafemi. Look how he put over, even though WrestleMania 34 was a debacle, look how many times he put over Roman Reigns. Look how many times he made Roman Reigns look good. Seth Rollins, fill in the blank of guys that he has made to look good. And again, who can forget that Royal Rumble performance when he comes in at number 1, Andy? Could be the greatest Royal Rumble match of all time in Royal Rumble 2020. Again, we don't really get the payoff for it. But again, for every bad, there's so much good with Brock Lesnar. I think to boil it down to it, Andy, Brock, you said it. When Brock cared, you could tell. And I think one of my favorite moments that Brock cared, that you saw Brock, the actual Brock, come out is, dude, when he came back with the cowboy gimmick and he was Cowboy Brock, and dude, we got to see him at SummerSlam flip the dang ring with a tractor. Like, come on, man. That kind of stuff was just so much fun.
Yeah, like that stuff is really what I think a lot of people are going to remember about this last run of Brock. Is the carefree that he kind of felt, since that SummerSlam moving on. Like I think that's kind of the picture that he kind of lets on. I think kind of going back to what you talk about, like I agree. I don't think he had much say in the Taker streak stuff. No, I have heard Moxley talk about, hey, I had this idea. Said let's see if Brock's up for it. No, Brock didn't want to do that. So I think there are moments. I think it depended on who he was in the ring with and what was going on that he would, depending on the Brock that we got.
Sure.
but he like the Cowboy stuff. I know a lot of people didn't love it, but him with Money in the Bank, I didn't love him having Money in the Bank, but him with the boombox was hilarious week in, week out.
It was good.
His interaction with R-Truth was hilarious. I mean, Brock never breaks, and Truth got him to break multiple times.
Splitting his pants recently on his entrance, hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious. Him falling, like his first Raw back or whatever, he bit it hard.
Yep.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of moments for Brock. Definitely like the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. I don't think you hear people say it all the time. I don't think that's really up for debate. I would not say he's one of the greatest WWE wrestlers of all time, but he is one of the greatest spectacles in wrestling history.
And he's a Brock Lesnar Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I remember my first Brock Lesnar, seeing Brock in person for the first time was in Buffalo, New York, when I was with my brother at a house show that was there when I was there for a random night, and me and him went, and it was Brock Lesnar versus Big Show. And seeing him just pick Big Show up like Big Show weighed like 10 pounds and throw him around the ring was wild to see that. And so he's a spectacle. Even when you dreaded his matches and you knew this is probably not going to be great, there were moments in it where he was stiff. I mean, who can forget when he hard way busted open Randy Orton with his elbow? Like, and shocked everybody, because that was during the time period where like we never saw blood in WWE, and he hard way busted Randy open. Then he did it to Roman at 34, and then just so much other stuff that happened.
Punching Braun Strowman in the head.
Told him to slow down.
4-way at Royal Rumble one year.
Listen, the promo between him and Samoa Joe, where like you could not tell, is this scripted or is this real? When he was talking to Roman in the corner, and Joe said, "Look at me, boy, when I'm talking to you," and that sent Brock off. Like there's a lot of moments like that.
Aaron Grisham in the chat with us. Thanks for being here, buddy. The fact that Lesnar could do a shooting star press, botched and not botched, yes, is absolutely insane. Yes, Brock Lesnar, man, just one of a kind. And again, like you said, as much as you dread some of his matches, it is sad that Brock is retired. He's done. And maybe he does come back. We speculated about it earlier against Gunther. Maybe he comes back at SummerSlam. I have a hard time seeing a world where SummerSlam is in Minnesota and Brock is not on the card.
Yeah.
But
or at least there.
I think there's a good chance that it happens, man. I don't know.
Maybe.
All right. As we wrap this thing up, Aaron says he's late. Did he miss the Belcher beatdown? Yeah. You need to scroll back and listen to me and Andy and our difference of entertainment opinions, I guess. That being said, though,
if they sell gingerbread merch, I'm totally buying a t-shirt. I'm absolutely buying a t-shirt.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. All right. That's going to do it, man. What a loaded show. Went a little long tonight. Thank you guys for hanging with us. If you're just now checking us out, rewind the show, go back and check it out. We would appreciate that very much. Leave those comments and questions in the chat. We will go back and get to each and every one of them, and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, that helps us so much. Share it with a friend. I know City Kitty posted earlier that she had shared the show, and hope that you do that as well. We would appreciate it very, very, very much. Andy, man, Backlash this weekend. Lots of stuff happening. Anything else that we missed that you want to
add? No, not really. I just I'm excited to see where it goes. I love this comment from Aaron that maybe he does come back. Remember when Cena retired, and it's not even been a couple months, and Cena's back. Cena's back in charge again.
Just hosting. Oh my gosh.
You're gonna host every show. I mean, you might as well not retire then and just wrestle at every show.
I mean, I don't know. He's gonna be at Backlash.
Oh my gosh.
Backlash. Backlash.
Danhausen do that?
Yes. With the Triple H one.
Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely hilarious. City Kitty says she will not be with us live because she's gonna be at Raw next week in Knoxville. So have a blast. We'll be watching from the comfort of our own homes. But yes, that'll be great. All right, man, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for being with us live in the chat. Again, if you're watching the replay or you're listening on podcast or on SportsWire Radio, thank you for doing that. That is the Young Buck Andy York. My name is Chris Belcher. This has been another edition of Squared Circle Radio Live. We will catch you guys down the road.